Today we're going to talk about the three hows. How to the third. First, we're going to start in Ephesians 4. And Ephesians 4 we've talked about a few weeks ago when we were talking about putting on the new life that Christ had paid for us. But today we're going to jump down to verse 32, and it says, "Be kind to one another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, as God in Christ forgave you." So the first how do we forgive? Like Jesus forgave. How did Jesus forgive? He forgave when you didn't deserve it. I didn't deserve it. He didn't have anything to gain by it. He didn't forgive us so that he could get something from us. He forgave us because he loved us. Okay? He forgave us without limitation. That brings me to how number 2. How many times do I have to forgive? Peter's asking in Matthew 18:21. Peter says, "Jesus, how many times do I have to forgive?" Well, I can tell you, I asked my mom that question all the time when I was little. Do I have to? She'd say, "Forgive your brother." Maybe she also told, "Forgive your sister." And I would say, "Do I have to?" She'd say, "Yes, right now." Okay, we would forgive each other. I'd be like, "I forgive you." But it wasn't with our heart. It wasn't that we were like really genuine about forgiving, but we had to forgive, so we forgave. Peter's saying, "Master, how many times do I have to forgive? How much are you expecting from me?" He's thinking, 2 or 3 times. So Peter, thinking he's like the big overachiever, he says, 7 times? And Jesus says what? 70 times 7. In other words, whatever you thought was a lot, take that times 70. Every day, the same person. Not just like in bulk mass, but the same person for the same thing every day. How number 2. How number 3. Luke 23, we see Jesus. He's on the cross in verse 34, and he says, "Father, forgive them." Who is them? You, me. Father, forgive us. Why? How come? Because they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. And on our behalf, Jesus said to the Father, "Forgive them." They don't know. Forgive them. So how number 1, how do we forgive? Like Jesus. How number 2, how many times? 70 times 7. Endlessly, limitlessly offer forgiveness. And the third one, how come? How come we forgive? How come? Because you know what? People don't know what they're doing. You and I, we don't always know what we're doing, and we need to be forgiven. There's a quote that says, "Love is an endless act of forgiveness." It's an endless act. You never get done forgiving. You forgive one time, you're going to have to forgive another 100 times. And you know what? It starts with a tender look, and it becomes a habit. And going that second mile today, friend, I encourage you, let forgiveness become a loving habit that you so quickly do that it becomes your default mechanism. By default, I'm going to choose to love. I'm going to choose to forgive.